Afternoon, guys. Hope you're well. We've had a great question come in, which is what I'm going to be answering in this video, which is Qigong suitable for those that aren't spiritual? Which is a fab question, and the answer is yes, it is. And so in order to answer it, we'll explain the spiritual kind of side as well as the more practical side. And this, by the way, this tea is an oolong. It's called Swallow's Nest from My Leaf. It's absolutely brilliant. So, answering the question, we're going to start off with explaining the mind and what is it, the human mind, and how we identify with that, rightly or wrongly, and how we're trying to get kind of behind that, get rid of that sort of identification with it. So the human mind is built up with all of our experiences, our memories, our past life events, it could be our traumas, but also all of our conditioning from our parents, from school, from our country, our culture, our race, our gender. All of these things build up this mind, fill up like a cup, the contents of the mind with these things that does one of two things. One, we identify with that. So we actually believe that is us, and it's not, it's just an accumulation of events, but because it fills our mind, we actually come to believe that that's the true us, which is just contents. And actually the spiritual side really is going behind that, emptying the contents of the mind and realizing our true stuff before we accumulated all of this illusory stuff. And the other thing is we don't see reality how it is, because we're like wearing rose-tinted glasses. So each of us see the present moment and reality slightly differently due to our past conditionings and experiences and memories, which filter the lenses through how we see everything. So again, what we're trying to do, and this is the hallmarks of all meditation really, is to empty the contents of the mind so we can go behind it, not only see and be present and be totally aware and conscious of reality, but also to our true being, who we actually should be identifying ourselves with before we've put on and accumulated all of this content and noise and experiences. So I'm going to leave that there because I'm not, the answer to the question is going into the more practical side, but that's like a spiritual quick 101 of what we're trying to do. And to be fair, we're kind of really doing the same thing in the practical side. It's just we're using different language to, I suppose, explain that. But ultimately, both things, the practical and this, we're trying to use words to basically explain an energetic game. So one of the other things actually for Qigong with the spiritual side is Qigong is called energy work. And so we're noticing and building and accumulating and circulating energy and qi around the body. And by noticing that and drawing our attention and awareness to that, we ultimately stop thought in our head when we become aware of that energetic body, and we bring our awareness to that. You can't have awareness and thought at the same time. Thought drops off. Thought is the language of the mind. And so by keeping our presence and keeping our awareness on the energetic body momentarily whilst we're practicing, we can drop the mind off. And it's also why Qigong's also called moving meditation. Anyway, right, so quick, let's just move to the practical side now. So lots of people will complain that in today's day and age, especially in the Western world, we're overworked, overstressed, and we overthink. And so imagine that noise throughout the day accumulating, by using the analogy of resonance on a champagne glass. You get your finger, this noise is accumulating and getting louder through the day, and we want some tricks and some applications in order to help push that out through the body and diminish it. Two ways of doing that, and they're two polar opposites, the yin and yang. One is through movement, one is through no movement. So movement and meditation. So we all know, we've all said, you may have heard this before, that emotion is like energy in motion. So therefore, if we've got this sort of stagnant emotion or built up stuff, we want to push it out through the system and get it out through the body. And we can do that through some vigorous movement. You go for a run, you hit a boxing bag, you do some exercise, you go to the gym. We all know that if you've had a stressful day and you go and do that, the other side of that, you feel a lot better because we've energetically changed it and pushed stuff out. The other side is doing no movement, sitting down somewhere quietly, relaxing, concentrating on the breath, slowing the breath rate down, and through that stillness and solitude and quietness, that just dissipates out through the body. So two different solutions for the same thing, which is denoising us and de-stressing us. The problem is, again, these two things are kind of, they're pretty polarizing. For a lot of people, well, if you're injured or disabled, you can't really do the movement side that well. Or if you come home and you're busy, or it's winter time in the UK, it's cold, it's wet, you're stressed, you don't want to get your gym kit on and head down the gym, and it's busy because it's January down there, and all of these things. As well as meditation, that seated stuff is so alien to a lot of people in the West, or they've tried it a little bit before and they don't really, I don't want to say lack of understanding, but they just don't gel with it. And actually at the beginning, unless you're really willing to do a bit of practice with it, it can have the opposite effect, where it's so alien. You sit there and you're like, what am I going to be doing here? What am I going to be feeling? You close your eyes and try and be quiet, and the mind just starts going on overdrive, like, what are we doing? So Qigong is what I call a halfway house. It meets it in the middle of that. It's using very slow, controlled movements, which you don't need to get into your gym kit for. You don't need to leave the house. You can do it all indoors. You can do it seated. You can do it standing. You can, if you're injured or disabled, it's open to you guys as well. And you're aligning the mind and body with slow, rhythmical, hypnotic movements, plus with breath work, plus with sometimes some kind of intentional mudras and stuff. And basically you're using the best of both worlds, and you're denoising and de-stressing. And so that is the practical application of what we're doing, and also noticing your energetic body. There's also other health applications of it as well, like the old Chinese system, which is all disease and illness is due to a stagnation in the energetic system, and we're moving stuff around, unblocking it. First, you're learning how to feel it and sense it, and that is super profound when you start doing that, because you actually notice, oh my god, there is actually some other kind of energetics and bioelectricity and stuff within me, and you start noticing it in your body. Then you learn to accumulate it and then circulate it around. So it's got a kind of health aspect, it's got a kind of denoising and de-stressing the mind and quietening the mind, which is actually all what we're doing in the spiritual side as well. You just got a different script related with both. So anyway, I hope that helps. Any more questions, give me a shout, but great question.